Thank you, Presiding Officer. As co-convener of the Scots Language Cross-Party Group and as a long-standing proponent of the Scots language, I welcome that we now have stage 1 of the Scottish Languages Bill. And from the outset of my remarks, I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary for her engagement meeting with myself and other members last week, and for her commitment to continue to work cross-party to ensure that we get this bill right for all of Scotland's Scots and Gaelic speakers. I also thank the Open University in Scotland and all the members of the Scots Language Cross-Party Group for their engagement regarding the bill, and I welcome Dr Sylvia Warnecki to the Chamber, to the gallery today. Thank you for being here. Just on Saturday, I attended the Scots Language Awards in Cumnock Town Hall. The breadth of talent, dedication and commitment to the Scots in preparing, shaping and advancing Scots was absolutely clear. There is so much love for our Scots language. It was so evident in the performances and the words from the presenters at the awards on Saturday. Hands up for Trad, and everyone involved deserves huge recognition for that. Today, Presiding Officer, though, I want to focus my comments on the areas I'd like to see this bill strengthen. One of the key policy objectives of this bill is to provide further support for the Scots language and to improve its status, profile and use in public life and in our diverse communities, with the many variants of Scots spoken in those communities. And we know a lot of work is already being done, and I think in terms of housing and transport, which was mentioned in evidence at the committee, and I think the Deputy First Minister mentioned this, for housing, for example, when we're building our new houses, maybe the street names could be named Scots words or Gaelic words, so that we can further enhance and just put the language out there right in everybody's face when they're driving into their new homes, for instance. One of the key policy objectives of this bill is to provide further support for the Scots language and to improve its status and profile, as I said, with all the variants. And the Scottish Government has consistently recognised that the Scots language is an important part of Scotland's heritage, culture and national identity. But it is fair to say that the recognition could go further. And one of the key discussion points which is consistently brought up at the cross-party group and from those involved in the Scots community is the need to tackle stigma and discrimination which faces Scots speakers. Indeed, Presiding Officer, I have experienced this myself. I know others have. When growing up, like many others, we would often be told to speak English, speak properly and stop speaking slang. And we're hearing that comments like this are still prevalent today. And again, to highlight the stigma and discrimination, last year when I invited prominent Scots author and broadcaster Billy Kay to present Time for Reflection here in Parliament in Scots, there was a huge backlash of negativity on social media. So I welcome the statement in section 26 of the bill that the Scots language will receive official status within Scotland. This is the first time that legislation has made a statement about the status of the Scots language. And with this in mind, I would welcome further discussions with I would welcome further discussions with the Cabinet Secretary on how we can push this provision further to tackle the discrimination and stigma which those speaking their native Scots tongue face. And I'll take Liam Kerr.
Liam Kerr.
Official status isn't defined in the bill. How would she define it?
Emma Harper.
So, in regards to referring to the definition or the defining what the Scots language is, that is something that I would like to explore in amendments at stage 2. So I think, given the Scots language, the umbrella terms, we heard from evidence that Bruce Younson gave at committee that the umbrella term Scots does include the variants of Scotland, whether you're in Stranraer or whether you're in Stromness. So it is something that, as we move forward, I think we can look at what language in the bill could be further defined. It was part of the Time for Inclusive Education's submission to the evidence as well. So, Presiding Officer, section 27, I'll just carry on a bit, thank you. Section 27 requires the Scottish Ministers to prepare a Scots language strategy. And this section sets out the required content of the Scots language strategy, consultation and publication requirements and timescales for its preparation, review and revision. The provisions in the bill to prepare a Scots strategy will add importance to these priorities and to the work being done by Scots bodies and other authorities to make progress with these priorities. couple more points, Presiding Officer, in the bill. Section 31 requires the Scottish Ministers to promote and support Scots language education in schools. This means that education authorities must also promote and support Scots language education in the schools under its management. And there has been some fantastic examples of this in Dumfries and Galloway already, such as at Traquair Primary School in Dumfries. The Scottish Ministers must consult interested persons in preparing the guidance, and such persons could include, for example, the Scots Language Centre, which has been mentioned, Scots House and Yaldi Books. This work will ensure that young people have exposure to Scots from an early age and should hopefully help to tackle some stigma surrounding the Scots language. I have one ask which was raised by the Open University as well, such as for Gaelic. This bill will also place a similar statutory duty on public bodies in relation to their use of Scots. So I would welcome further discussion with the Cabinet Secretary on this. It is right that we are now providing greater recognition of the Scots language in education, and as I made the point to the Cabinet Secretary, this bill is important in recognising history, heritage and culture in all of our communities as it relates to Scots. So I will be supporting this bill at stage 1, and I look forward to working with the Cabinet Secretary as we move forward.